Hello again, day 6 of the Advent Amazon Repair Challenge, where I attempt to fix a huge pallet of faulty Amazon items. Let's get straight into day 6.
Star space heater.
Here we have a portable space heater, so let's unpack it and see what the problem is. Well, unfortunately you can see here that the knob that you select the different speeds with is completely broken off. So it's broken off from here and also in here as well. So that's supposed to fit in here. Interestingly, when I go to turn it like this, I can feel it's like on there nice, but I'm putting a lot of force there. It doesn't seem to want to turn either way. So I'm wondering now if it wasn't drops in transit, but maybe this actual mechanism has seized up, and then when the person went to turn it, they used such force that they broke it off from here and here, because I'm thinking that if it just broke in transit from being dropped, I'm thinking that should still turn relatively easy because I'm down on it really good. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I think it's going to be quite boring to watch, but I'm just going to undo these two screws, these two screws. Hopefully that will lift this up, can undo these two, and it might give me access. Maybe I can lift this straight off, I'm not sure. It might give me then access to see what's what, just to see what the original failure was and see if there's any way. I don't think personally gluing it is going to be good enough, but let's see if we can free it up just to see maybe why it failed. Okay, obviously I am unplugged, so let's undo these. Came out nice. Looks like it's mostly metal. Ah, yes, excellent. Right, let's undo it from here. I went into Screwfix and to buy, I don't know what I was buying, batteries and something else. And I'm sure I've seen something very similar to this, but it was under a different name. The I don't know how to pronounce it. Bauer or something. They kind of make the cheaper tools. Power tools. Very similar to this one. So that's the thermostat there, and that is clicking. I think that's working. So now this one here. Should I take a picture of all the connections? So that's linked to there. That one goes around to there. Yeah, they all look different because that's see-through, that's black. So if I take a picture, I think we can just work on this on its own. So let's pop each of these off. I don't think they've got the little clip on them. Well, they came off a lot easier than I thought. So get rid of that. Now, why is that not turning nicely? Because it should do. Look, you can see the way it's cut off there. So that goes in there. So I've got enough pressure on that to turn. And it's not turning at all. It feels like it's stuck. So it looks like there's a clip, 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 and clip. So it's going to come apart this way. Actually, hold on a minute. Should that not be pushed right the way through? Yeah, there we go. Now let's see if it's going to turn. Yes, it does turn. Listen to that. Now, will you go all the way through? Yes, you will. So this is it here. It's very hard to turn. But not like that. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I think that's going to work fine. It's just that, am I going to be able to put this on to make it strong enough? Yeah. Maybe this is where a 3D printer would be ideal. It might be just a generic knob with one of these on. See, what I'm thinking is not for resale, but on this top bit here, you could just drill a small hole and you could just put a self-tapper in there, and with glue that might be enough to hold that one in position. But there's a lot more strain on this one here, and there's not much room. You know what I mean? That's going to be completely, that's going to be in there, so you can't kind of build it up around here. But if there was a way that you could melt in two bits of metal, like imagine like a dowel but metal, tiny little bit there, like a pin, a little pin here and here, two of them, because if I just put one it might just want to twist, but if I was to put two, that might be enough to make it move like that. I think I'm going to waste a little bit of time on this just because it would be a useful one for somebody maybe to have in their garage or their shed or something like that. There might be, you know, for friends and family, it might be good enough. Right, let's see if we can bodge something up. Actually, rather than putting a screw, I've got loads of room here, haven't I? It doesn't matter. This could, in theory, this could be all filled up in here because it's just got to sit on top here. So we will be able to get good strength on this one, because in theory I could fill all this with epoxy if I so wanted to, all the way around here. So that one there will be a good strong fix. I could super glue it on there, and then I can put maybe this much epoxy all in there, or plastic bonder. This might be a good opportunity to use a plastic bonder. But now it's this bit that's hard. So what I'm thinking, I'm sure at the end I'll probably think of something different that would have worked, but it'd be too late by then. But I've got this little micro drills here. This is only 1 mil. If I was to put a 1 mil hole down here, here, and also try to line up here and here, then I might be able to get something small, like a little pin off a cable clip or something like that. A cleat, you know, for hammering cables onto a wall. And I might be able to get them there and there. That's what I'm thinking. Then I can glue it. I'm sure it's not going to line up, but it might do. I'm just going to start it off with the soldering iron. Ah, annoying. That's inevitable. I was putting too much weight on it.
Ha ha.
Do you know what? I might be able to use that as my pin. If I could break it in half, and I might be able to still drill with this bit here. But if I go back and forth like this, it's actually working its way in. Look at that. I mean, well, there you go. It's in that much. That might be enough. So that with glue might hold, because I only want rotational force. That's pretty good, you know. Look at that. That one's in very nice. Okay, that's that one done. So now I have to do the same on here. But how am I going to transfer those two holes onto here? I can guess, but it'd be quite nice if that was on there to be where the original break is, you know, because it wants to sit. It wants to sit there quite nicely. How am I going to do that? I think it's just going to be a case of eyeing it up. So I know it's that way. It's going to go on there like so. And it's just before the break. I think we might be able to. It looks just like a pig's snout. Let's guesstimate. Oh, that's in nice. Oh no, broke again.
Ha ha.
Ah. That's a shame. Right, let me go the next size down. What is it? 0.95. That's okay. Don't think that will make a huge amount of difference once I hammer it in. These things are not expensive. It's just that it's a shame to break them all. And I'm just thinking that I'm showing this on video and I'm putting metal in where there's going to be 240 volts. And I'm sure somebody's going to say, what happens if it pierces through and makes contact? But it's all plastic in here. So I can't see how the metal's going to come through this bit here. And then it's got to work its way through the shaft to come up to here. I think the likelihood of that ever happening would be impossible. Right, well there we go. You can see now that that is in there and very nicely. So let's try to cut this down. So what do we need? To there. There. So if I was to cut it about here, that should be nice. Right, so I've got the little bunny ears sticking out there. Let's just see, is it going to line up at all? Oh my word! Remember, no glue yet. Look at that. Look at that. It's not perfectly straight, but I think there might already be enough strength. I don't want to tempt fate. Do you know, I'm not going to tempt fate. Well, it's going to be a lot stronger than just glue because you can see there's quite a lot of twistable strength there now. But I think when it goes in here, I think it's just going to break. But apart from buying a new one or getting a 3D printed one, then I can't see really how you're going to make a lasting repair out of this. So let me get some super glue on here now, just to get this bit so it can flow in here. And I might use some plastic bonder just around the edge here to fill this in. In fact, maybe I should be melting it now to allow me to build it up with plastic bonder. Or should I be super gluing it, then trying to melt the break maybe? And then plastic bond. I think I'll do that. I just got to be careful not to breathe in the super glue. I'm just going to wipe away the excess. And while I've got this out, I might as well stick this to here as well. You know, that's not bad. Right, I'm going to let that dry for a little bit. I'm wondering if I should do the first bit of plastic bonding now. I've got a feeling after all this I'm going to put it in and it's just going to go on the very first one and break. Well, what I can do to begin with is I can get my grinding pen out and I can rough up around the edge here, because the idea is I might be putting about 4mm of plastic bonder in the bottom bit, or maybe 5mm, and then it's going to then join this to this hopefully. So let's rough it up to give it more of a key. Do you know what? I'll just use this instead of the soldering iron. It's a shame I can't put a bit of a collar on and then cut away the very end bit. But it needs to swivel, yeah. This whole thing's turning. If I was to cut that there, it would probably fall inside. That's the collar, isn't it? So I can't do that. It's definitely starting to get some strength. Right, let's get the plastic bonder on it now. I'm going to mix it all up because there's only a bit left. I'm hoping this will all flow level as it dries. I may have to grind this back afterwards. Right, I reckon gravity will probably make that go, make that dry nice and flat. But you can see what's going on there. So it's filled up nicely and I've built it up. There was a ring around here that I can't see why we would need an empty ring, so I filled that with glue. I'm hoping that it will all form into one, you know, the glue will stick to each other. And because it's going up onto this bit and I've kind of ground away just a tiny bit where it broke, I'm hoping that will be okay. But what I might have to do is I might have to cut down or grind back when it's dry to get this fully into here. I don't think it's going to be overly successful, but I think I've done the best that I can do without buying a new one or having it 3D printed. So I'll come back to this later when it is dry. Do you know, I think I've just had a bit of a big brain moment. Why don't I see if there's any way that we can make this turn easier? Because we know it broke without any usage because this hasn't had use and that snaps straight off. So maybe this here, maybe on the inside it's too highly sprung, which is making it hard to turn. So why don't we try to take this apart just in case there's a way that we can make it easier to turn. Maybe more easier than it's designed to. And that way then it might give my fix a chance. And that's that side out. There you go. Right, so I should be taking, let me take some pictures because it's all marked up 1A, 3B. See, maybe we can make this ball less sprung. We could chop off a bit off the spring because it's going against these. It'll make it easier to turn, I think. Now, let's see how easy it is to turn when there's nothing in it. Very easy. So could it be that the balls are just a bit too highly sprung? I think probably. So let's see if we can take that out and take the spring out. How about if I was just to cut a tiny little bit off the spring? Would that be too much there? Let's give that a go. Here. Oh, that's amazing. I hit off the ceiling and landed, I think, back on my mat. So now let me press that down a little bit. This is where it goes flying across the room. There we go. Like so. I'll still put the good part of the spring against the ball, and that's just going to be digging into the plastic. So that's there now. That's there. Look at that. Is that still sprung, but not to the same degree? Now, should I risk doing it on just one side? The thing is, I need it to be super easy to do, don't I? I can always put a new spring in because it just looks like a big biro type spring. So let's take this one off. I might try to take a little bit less off this one, or I could always stretch them, couldn't I? Let's see what on this one now. There. I think I might give that a go. Right, let me refer to my pictures because I've already forgotten. So we have the 2 against the 1, which is this way. Like so. And we have that against here. Now, shall we see if that's turning easier? Oh yeah, it's still clicking. Listen, click, 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 click. That's much easier. Excellent. And I presume, well, it's still going to be working. The click is just for, that's just to, you know, make sure it stays in place. If it got weak, you could always expand that spring a little bit anyway. So let's see, where are we? They're joined, they're joined, they're joined. They're not, they're not. They're no longer joined, but those 2 are joined. These 2 are still joined. They're not joined. They're not joined. None of them are joined. Those 2 are joined. They're not joined. They're not joined. They're not joined. Right, okay. I think it might be alright. And this is starting to solidify nicely. Look at that. Do you know what? I'm going to scrape back this bit to try to make it flat. Save me grinding later. Right, you can see now that I've scraped it back to there, so I don't think there's going to be much grinding, if any, to do. So I'm going to let that solidify some more. I'll come back to this when it's dry. Do you know what's a little bit weird? It's still dry in, it's only been about 10 minutes later. I was just showing my wife, I was bragging because I'm so happy with this bit here. Honestly, so happy. with that there. I think, famous last words, I think that's just so nice to turn now. I think it is gonna work. But look at this. It's puffing up. It's like it seems to be growing, which is strange, because it wasn't that high when I put the glue in, and now it looks like it's getting puffy, and it looks like it's expanding, which is strange. I thought if anything it would have shrunk, not got bigger. So I hope it doesn't get any bigger, because if it comes out over here, I'm in big trouble. Then I'm going to have to start cutting it all back. So I'm hoping it will stay as that. Right, it's about 2 hours later now, and I'm not sure if it would have ended up like that, because what I was doing, I was worried because it was growing past here, so I was stabbing at it like that. And then I think it must have been because it was so thick with stuff that the air must have been trying to come out, and maybe it couldn't escape properly, and it was like puffing up like so. But you can see now we are just about below this. It feels kind of slightly rubbery. I think that's normal. Now I should just really put it in and see if it works, so I can end the video on a success. You can see it's not quite properly aligned there. Is it going to turn it? Yes. Oh, it's so much easier to turn. You know what? I think if you were to sell it to someone unsuspecting, it would break quite quick. But if you gave it to someone who knew it had a fault on here and just told them to be gentle with it, I can't see why that wouldn't work. You know? I don't want to force it, because I know if I did that really hard, it would probably snap clean off here. But with the pins, that will give it a little bit of strength, rotational wise. I think if you use that sensibly, I think that would be a lasting fix. You can see how easy that is to turn now. You can see I'm not putting much strength into that. But yet it's not going to accidentally move on to the next setting. It's not going to accidentally come on if it was off, you know? Right, I'm going to put it back together and we'll see if it's actually working, because we don't know, do we? But I reckon the only fault is going to be this. Right, I've got to keep my voice down because everyone's in bed, but we're on 0 here and this is off. So we'll leave it there. So let's plug it in. Let's see, hopefully it won't come alive. That's good. Hopefully this won't come alive. Excellent. Right, now let's go to this one. So there's nothing there. Now there is. Brilliant. Now maybe there's no heat on that one, that might be just fan. Let's go up one. I can feel heat. So there's only one setting for fan speed. It must be just more or less heat. Oh, I can smell it because it's new. I can smell ever so slightly, you know, like chemical burning. And there we go, that's getting nicely warm now. Right, let's turn that off. And I get, oh, did you see that click there? That it was like a flash of light. Can you do that again? Yeah, okay, so it does a little flash of light. Right, let me get the thermal cam just to show you the heat. And interestingly, on the first setting, which is just air, you can see there's no heat spots because it's cooling down now. When I put it to number 1, you can only see 2 bars getting hot. And then when you put it to the 2 setting, you can actually see 5 bars getting warm. So can you see those 2 bars now are starting to heat up? And now if I put it on to the highest setting, you will see all the bars light up. So it looks like there's 5 bars getting lit up. So there now, bit by bit, you will see the other 3 will start to get warm. There you go. Interesting.
Summary.
So what is this thing worth? Well, I can't find the exact fan, but I can find similar ones for £29. Now, although it is brand new, you can't sell it on because of the broken knob. But if somebody knew about it, they'll have no problem using that knob, in my belief. So, 25% off retail. I'm going to call it £7.25. Yeah, so not the highest figure. Let's see if tomorrow we can bring in some more money.